first meeting between Naren and his guru, Sri Ramakrishna. It was November 1881. Naren was invited by one of his neighbors called Mr. Surendranath Mitra to come to his place because Sri Ramakrishna would visit his place that day and Naren would sing a few songs. Though Naren was not very enthusiastic, he accepted. He sat in a corner of the room and was noticing how Sri Ramakrishna was speaking. Naren noticed that he was not very educated and was using the ordinary language of the villagers. He was wondering whether this man could be a great teacher. Anyhow, he sang his song and then he was lingering in the room. When the room was completely vacant, he crawled to Sri Ramakrishna and asked him, "Sir, do you believe in God?" He replied, "Yes." Then the second question, "What is the proof?" Ramakrishna replied, "I see him as clearly as I see you." Naren was not prepared for such an answer. He had never heard anyone saying that he had seen God, so he thought that he must prove this thing. He left the room. Then Ramakrishna asked Surendranath whether he knew this boy. He replied, "Yes, he is my neighbor." Then he asked Ramachandra Datta whether he knew this boy, and he said, "Yes, this is my cousin." Naren was searching for God and was going to the Brahmo Samaj. He was asking the Brahmo leaders the same questions which he put to Sri Ramakrishna. The Brahmo leaders could not reply. For example, he had entered into the houseboat of Maharshi Devendranath Tagore and asked him, "Sir, have you seen God?" The Maharshi looked at him and said, "You have the eyes of a yogi. You will see God." So he thought that he must investigate about the saint of Dakshineshwar. He went there a few weeks later with some of his friends. Sri Ramakrishna looked at them and he was not at all happy to see those friends. He took Naren by the hand and almost dragged him out of the room into the veranda to the north. And he bolted the veranda. Once there, with folded hands, he began to say to this young boy, "I know, O Lord, that you are the ancient sage Nara, born again to alleviate the misery of the world. But should you come so late in my life? I have been waiting for you for years." So Naren thought that this is a sign of madness of the saint. He was the son of Bishwanath Datta, and he was told that he was the ancient sage Nara. Then Sri Ramakrishna again entered into the room and took some sweets hanging from the ceiling and then gave it to Naren. Naren said, "I shall take these sweets along with my friends." But Sri Ramakrishna said, "No, they are for you only." So he made him take them, and then he held his hands and requested Naren, "You please promise that you will come again, but alone, not with these friends." So Naren had to oblige. He said, "Okay." Next time, Naren came alone. He found that Ramakrishna was seated on his cot and was muttering something to himself. Anyway, Naren took his seat nearby. Gradually, Sri Ramakrishna was approaching him, and suddenly he touched his chest. And immediately Naren began to see the things in the room were whirling and getting lost in space. And then he found that his own ego was vanishing. So he thought that by some trick, this man was trying to kill him. So he shouted, "What are you doing to me? I have parents at home." Sri Ramakrishna burst out laughing and again touched the chest of Naren, saying, "We need not to be in a hurry. All these things will come in time." He was trying to introduce Samdhi in this boy. Next time, when Naren came, Sri Ramakrishna proposed that let's have a walk. So they went from the temple garden to the spacious garden house, Yaddu Malik. It is about 50 meters away. And there, he made Naren sit before him, and by touch, he made him unconscious. Then he began to ask him questions. Why have you been born? What is the mission of your life? Since he had visions about Naren, he was portraying them through this method. Naren had no idea what he was doing because Naren was unconscious and he took the answers from the depth of his mind. So these were the first three contacts between Naren and his guru. For a few years, he was observing Sri Ramakrishna. He was not at all happy that from time to time Sri Ramakrishna would visit the Kali temple. For him, going to the temple was a sign that much progress had not been made in the spiritual life. His idea was that when one was progressing, one should leave all these things behind and remain absorbed in the Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna's going to the Kali temple was an enigma to him. Therefore, he was observing his guru for years. Over the years, he understood that his guru was the greatest spiritual manifestation made by any person in the history of the whole world.